We are live. Welcome, everybody that's watching. Welcome to the new maiden show, Soapbox Sidekicks, where we're going to be interviewing different channels from now on. We got our original boys in the house, the OGs. We got Strangexblade. We got Read Comics 81. We got Steve from I Love Disney and Comics.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Ryan. This is my first time ever doing a face reveal on YouTube. So I'm Strangexblade. I'm in my comic room right now. This is my project going on my wall. I had to dismantle it recently because of the hurricane that came through. So project is getting the room reset up right now. But yeah, I've been on YouTube for over 2 years, almost 3 now. I have 500 subscribers. I'm currently doing a 500 subscriber contest. And if you guys watch my channel, you already know that I pretty much live in dollar bins, or I try to stealth.
Okay, don't give us too much information because I got questions for you.
Well, yeah, I'm Strangexblade.
He's strange and he's Blade. We got Steve from I Love Disney and Comics. Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I've been doing YouTube for about a year now. I mostly do like pickup videos from the weekend, sometimes some eBay unboxings and things like that. But yeah, I've only been doing this about a year, and I think I'm at 114, 115 subs right now, and that's where I'm at.
All right, and then we got Simon at Read Comics 81.
Hey.
You want to introduce yourself?
This is Read Comics 81, and I've been on YouTube for almost exactly 3 years. And I don't want to give away too much information, like Mike said, but I'm kind of like Strangexblade. I do a lot of dollar bin hunting and stuff like that, and I pretty much love everything involved with comic books and anything comic book related. So yeah.
Sweet, glad to have you guys here. I'm trying to figure this thing out as we speak. All right, there we go. So these are the original sidekicks. I'm Mike from Nighttiger Comics, and I love Golden Age, but I don't want to talk about me. This show's not about me. I want to introduce, we got Paulo Costa, and we got Metarog in the house right now watching. Welcome, guys.
What's up, guys?
So let's get with this. I got some questions for these guys. I got a bunch of questions. How do I start this out? So, all right. So, since you gave us a little taste, Strangexblade, Ryan, we're going to ask you this question first. Share with us a little bit about who you are as a collector.
Okay, that's a very good question. More so, it's been a learning lesson for me throughout the past couple of years. I went from buying new books from a reading standpoint to over time becoming a collector. I started going to LCSs a lot more, started diving into dollar bins and looking for deals and stuff. And that's the fun part about collecting for me. I really enjoy finding good deals in dollar bins or for good, like less than $10 or whatnot. And recently, I've been into a lot trading and selling a lot more my books, but most of the time my collection stays on my PC, and I've been focusing my collection more and more. I started out with these boxes back here. I maybe have 7 boxes now in my collection, and I had 15 at one point about a year and a half ago. So I've been really, getting rid of some books or giving them to whoever wants them and trying to restart my collection as of recently. But as a collector now, I'm looking for stuff I really want in my collection that's going to stay long term. And then if I buy anything that I'm trying to speculate on or whatnot, I just get rid of it when it's time to get rid of it. So.
Okay. So we're gonna go to Steve now. Steve, tell us who you are as a collector.
Well, lately I've been every 2 weeks now. Me and my family have been going to a different city within about 2 hours of here, and going to a new place to eat and checking out a new comic book store while we're in the area. So every time I've been going, I've been looking for things that I won't find anywhere else. Something unique to that store. That's kind of where I'm at right now, just collecting I picked all these three up within the last month, and I'm looking for like the characters that I like mostly. Just recently got into cult this last year, like Swamp Thing and all the old horror books. And I like going to stores and seeing what they have that nobody else has. Trying to find that one thing that you're just not going to find anywhere else. And as long as it's cheap, I am a cheapskate. So
I think you sound like most of us.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Reed Comics 81, tell us who you are as a collector. Let's get to know you.
Well, as a comic book collector, I started collecting comic books when I was 11 years old. And back then, when you're a kid and you're collecting comic books, you buy what you like. You buy what stands out, what looks cool and exciting, and you don't really care about what other people say or what other people think. So you just buy what you want to read. And that's how I was back then as a kid. But then when I got back into collecting and got on YouTube and stuff like that, I started paying more attention to trends in comic collecting and what was hot and spec books and things like that, which is fine. But I found myself picking up books that I really I wasn't really excited about. I bought books just because other people were saying that you should buy it or whatever. And now it's like I'm starting to go back more towards just doing what feels natural and buying books back from my childhood, buying books just because I think they look good, just because they look cool, and not paying too much attention on, what's hot at the moment, what might happen in a movie next year, stuff like that, because I find that if you keep doing that, you're going to get stuck with a lot of books you don't really care about. So right now I'm pretty much just going back and trying to find books that speak to me, that make me happy. And here's an example of that. I just want to show this real quick. This is ASM 220. This was the very first. Yeah, this was the very first Amazing Spider-Man I bought back when I was a kid, and I got it signed by Bob Layton at a show. So just stuff like this, just trying to return to my roots, I guess you could say.
Oh, that's a beautiful book too. I don't have that one. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce. We got Lawrence in the house. I don't know if Chuck's there, but we got the Go-To Geeks. We got Justin Rican and his comics. We got Knights of Old. So we got people going up.
Welcome, guys.
I'm gonna throw you a question. Now I want you to mull this over. Don't answer it. Think about what it's good. Your answer is gonna be, and I'm gonna go with another question while you think about this one. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, what do you believe is your ultimate collecting superpower? Now, don't answer me. Don't answer me. Think about it. We're going to ask you another question. We're going to go with Steve first on this. Okay, so Steve, what's the first thing you do when you enter an LCS? Now, this is multiple question. A, do you go right for the dollar bin? B, do you check the wall books first? C, do you ask someone's got me on a device, I can hear my echo. C, do you ask the LCS owner manager if any new collections came in and check behind the counter, or do you head right for the bathroom? D.
Lately, I've needed to do D, go right to the bathroom.
Okay.
I'm going to be in there for a while.
That's a sign of old age right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm posing this question over to Reed Comics.
Well, it depends. It really depends on which LCS I'm going to.
Before you answer, all these questions are based on the scenario of a large, perfect LCS. So all the questions are going to be based on that premise that the LCS is the most perfect place. It's huge. It's got everything. So go ahead. What's your answer? What do you do?
So, okay, well, can I answer? Can I put my own answer in there? Can I do an E? Yeah. A letter E?
Yeah, do an E. Let's hear an E.
Okay, a letter E is I look to see who's working is the first thing I do. And the reason for that is depending on who's working is going to determine what I can get away with.
Okay, good answer. Good answer.
So if I can elaborate on that for a moment.
Go ahead.
I have an anecdote, I have a little story. So I have an LCS that has the owner works there, and there's a couple of other guys that are kind of like, you can tell they don't know a lot about comics. They're just kind of like hired to work part-time. So, you know, but they've got some dollar bins at the front of the store. And so one time I went in there and I'm looking through the dollar bins, and I found a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 194, First Black Cat, in the dollar bin. I mean, but it was like, it was just roached. I mean, the spine was tore up. It was dirty. You know, it was probably barely worth $1. But I took it up to the counter and I put it on the counter and I said, you know, this is really, really tore up, but for $1, I guess I'll take it. And the guy took it out of my hands and he said, "You found this in the dollar bin?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, that wasn't supposed to be there." And he sticks it under the counter. So, I mean, it was barely worth $1, but so, you know, I know if the other guy would have been working, he wouldn't have said anything about it. He would have just rang it up for $1. So I'm always looking to see who's in there, what I, you know, because that'll determine if I can stealth buy things and, you know, stuff like that. So great question.
Yeah. I have another story similar to that, but this isn't for me this show, but I'll share it with you later, maybe on another day or something. It's very similar to that, and I was very angry at what happened. Okay, so we got Strangexblade. So do you need me to read the multiple choice, or do you remember? What do you do when you go in LCS? What's the first thing you do right after you enter the door?
I stare down the shop owner that's looking at me because I already know I'm coming in there. So, you know, I duck my head and I go right to the dollar bins.
Okay.
I can just picture that stare down.
Good answer.
Intense.
Okay. Are you guys ready to tell us? Any of you got your collecting superpower? What is it? Anybody want to answer that first?
I'd say mine's intuition. I have common sense with speculation, and I think the older mentality of YouTube used to be you show off books that you thought were cool or had key value before CBSI and all these like 10 lists came out and whatnot. So I took that old premise with me when I was going out hunting, and I bought a lot of books. Like my She-Hulk 1, I bought that before anything came out about that character. And I was just buying it because I knew that had some key importance, or it could be worth something one day, or it's cool. So intuition.
Intuition's your superpower. Okay, who's next? Who's got their superpower?
I can go next, I guess.
Okay. Reed, what is your collecting superpower?
I would say, and this is sometimes to my detriment, though, I would say that mine is probably just dogged determination. I mean, I if I'm in the mood to go comic book hunting, which is, you know, usually every day, but I don't stop until, most of the time, I don't stop until I at least come home with something that I can feel that made the trip worth it. I mean, I'll go to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different places. I'll drive 100 miles in one direction. I don't care. I mean, if I really want to go out and find some books, I'm going to find those books. So that would have to be it.
Okay, Steve, what is your collecting superpower?
You're making me give away my secrets. So
if you want to share, you can pass. It's up to you.
No, that's all right. I talk to people. When I go in a store, you know, I'll search for, you know, their dollar bin and everything, and then I'll walk up to the counter, and then I'll just start talking about, you know, what I'm buying, you know, how is your store doing, everything like that. And
so you kill them with kindness?
Yeah, exactly. Because I get to be, you know, I get to know these people, and then, you know, one time, you know, I'll buy something and I'll pay, you know, their price for it. Next time I'll buy something and they'll give me a deal for it. So, you know.
So when you walk in the store, you want to create a warm, fuzzy feeling for the owner whenever you come in.
I'm not going to be that guy that's just walking in and out of your store giving you money, you know. We're going to get to know each other.
That's an excellent strategy.
Okay, I got another question. I want you to mull it over. I don't want you to answer yet. Do you have any techniques that you've developed to win an auction on eBay? Okay, don't share with us. Hold on to that. Think about it. We're going to go to a question over here. We're going to question number 2. Okay, so Ryan, how far are you willing to travel to hunt a new location when you know that it's very likely you may come up empty-handed? A, 100 miles, B, an hour and a half. C, stay home and shop on eBay. Or D, any distance, it don't matter. Go for it, Ryan.
Well,
How far are you willing to go?
well, most of the time, I have, a girlfriend back home. I got stuff I have to do. I have job, priorities, in other places other than to comic hunt and spend a whole day. Trust me, I would do that. Probably an hour and a half, 4 county distance sometimes. But
Wow.
the farthest I ever drove, there was a cluster of 8 shops and 2 antique stores, and I drove 5 hours, and I came back with 4 books. So
did you feel satisfied or did you feel disappointed with those 4 books?
I got one of my best stealth buys of all time.
Oh, you want to share that with us?
Let's see if I have it in the box. Let's see here.
How about you let us know what it is, and we're gonna go to, and when you get it, we'll come back to you.
Yeah, come back to me. I'm gonna look for it.
All right. So, Read Comics 81. 100 miles, a half an hour, stay home, shop on eBay, any distance, it don't matter.
Not stay home and shop on eBay. I like the physical getting out and hunting part too much to do the shop on eBay thing. I would have to say even farther than the top choice there. My wife.
I remember a story that you told about going to Small Con when you got the Spire comics or something like that.
Oh yeah. That's a good example. Yeah. Well, you said knowing that we might come up
Empty-handed. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was different because I bought those comics on Craigslist, so I already knew what I was going to get. But I was thinking my wife's going to watch this later tonight, so I might get in a little trouble for saying this. But we recently went out to Cleveland.
I knew
Ohio.
this was going to happen.
It was inevitable, wasn't it? So her and I went out to a concert in Cleveland, Ohio last weekend, which was about nearly a 4-hour drive from where we're at. And her friend, I'm trying to make this real quick. Her friend was supposed to go with her, but her friend kind of bailed out on her, so I agreed that I would go with her. But at the same time I agreed to go with her, I'm thinking, hey, man, I could probably hit up some stores or some shops or find a flea market out there, So, yeah, I'm down for a road trip. But,
okay, so this is going to lead into another question I have later.
Okay.
So what is your A? Is it A or any distance or?
I would have to say any distance, I guess.
Okay. I don't want you to say too much because you can hold that story. I got a question that you're going to use that answer for.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to get you in trouble, probably.
Most likely.
All right, Steve, same to you. 100 miles, an hour and a half, which was a trick answer because in 100 miles, hour and a half is the same. Stay home, shop on eBay or any distance for you, knowing you most likely may not get something.
I'll do any distance. We were on vacation in Tennessee back in July 4th, and I drove almost an hour and a half away from where we were at to go to a comic book store.
You just kept going until you got something. Then you can turn around.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, so just remember I asked you that question. Have you developed your own techniques for winning auctions on eBay? Don't answer that yet. We're going to hold that question. We're going to go with number 3 now. So let me come back to the full screen here so people can see me. If I can get it, okay. Many people smell cigars. Many people smell wines. Others smell comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Myself, I enjoy a good smelling of a comic book. So how about yourself? And we're going to start out with Steve on this. Steve, or to all you guys, do you find yourself smelling comic books when no one's looking?
All the time.
Do you wait till someone's not looking? Or B, you don't give a darn who's looking. You're going to smell that dang thing whenever you can. C, do you find yourself just smelling them even when you're not reading them? You just pick one up and then D, do you think people that smell comic books are crazy? Okay, we're going to go to Steve. Steve, what do you think? Biggie's in the. Hold on. Before you go, Biggie's in the house.
Hey, Biggie.
Hey, Biggie.
What's
Hey.
up, Biggie? Okay, we're going to Steve. Steve, what do you do? How is your smelling technique? What do you care about smelling comics?
All right, so I can tell you personally, I've been sitting on the couch after I've bought a couple dollar bins, and they're all 80s or something, and I open them up, and my nose is going right down the crack, up and down, and my wife looks over at me and she's like, "What are you doing?"
All right. So we got Reed already smelling one on camera.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys?
I think that's why we all have brain damage from smelling comics.
Right. From all the mold, black mold.
Ooh, a good Steve Ditko smell. Ooh.
Yeah, smells like Ditko.
So you don't care? You'll be in the middle of the mall and you pull out a comic book and just start sniffing it.
Who you asking, Mike?
You're on camera. You're up.
Oh yeah. It's funny because lately, well, I've had some really bad experiences on eBay and at like Second and Charles from not opening books and checking them out and smelling them and stuff like that. And you get them home and you think you got a good deal and you open it up and it smells horrible. Oh yeah, I have been smelling more books like out at the stores and stuff. And I don't care what people think, but usually I guess I do care a little bit because usually if somebody's giving me a funny look, if they see me smelling it, I'll say, "Hey, you got to give it that smell test. Got to make sure it's what you want." I don't know.
All right, Ryan, you're up.
All right. To go back to the question, I found 2 of the books I was referring to from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've been looking for that Power Girl.
Made it very worth it. With smelling books, to me, they smell like dirty socks sometimes. So they're out of the bags and boards. I don't like smelling those kind of books. I know they already have bad smells. So if I go to a vendor and they have a dirty box and I see a bunch of brown pages on the top, I don't like smell those books. If I go like or something.
So you're not quite a smeller, huh?
No. I mean, I try to go for if it's brown, I'm pretty sure it smells like smoke or dirty basement or dirty gym sock. So.
Biggie Shack says when he opened The Death of Superman, he smelled corn dogs and lemonade. Metarock says he enjoys the great late Silver Age smell. It's the best banquet of smells.
I agree.
And Paulo Acosta says smelling comics everywhere must be a stroke. Okay. So have you guys mulled over my question on do you have your own eBay snipe technique?
I'm going to pass on that for just a moment.
You're going to pass? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me go to you. Steve.
Right, so the first thing I do when I find an auction I like on eBay is I'll watch it. And especially if it's got, 20 days or something. And after that, I've noticed lately people, when you're like the only person watching it, sometimes they'll send you an offer asking if you want to buy it. So I actually had 2 people in the last week do that. After that, I'll make a bid on it for like the lowest bid I can just so that I'm on there. And then I'll try and watch it all the way up to the day of. Once the day of comes, I'll set a timer to go off on my phone when it's down to like the last 15 minutes. And if I really want it and it's still a good price, then I'll go out and I will wait until the last 10 seconds to place my best bid.
Nice. Anybody else up on that question?
I fail every auction I ever try to bid on, so I'm not pretty good at that. But I usually stick with buy it nows, and I lowball them, and if they take it, they take it, and then sometimes I haggle. But I'm not hard pressed with. I'm not a big eBay buyer whatsoever. I stay away from eBay.
I know, Reed, you said you're not.
My answer would be pretty much verbatim of what Ryan just said. Yeah, I will lowball them. I'll send them a really low offer. If they accept it, they do. If not, whatever. And if there's a book I really want on eBay, I'll like wait till wait till it's just about over, and I'll put like the whatever I'm most comfortable with spending, like the highest amount, and then I'll just let the chips fall where they may, and that's about it. I don't get into wars over things like that. Can't afford it.
I'm gonna chime in one more time about that.
Go ahead, buddy. Tell us.
What helps is if you're watching a 30-day auction and you're watching to see if anybody's also watching, like you can have 6 watchers, but the book doesn't sell, and they relist the book at a cheaper price, then shoot them an offer, and because they're still trying to sell the book, and most of the time, probably a little bit over half the time, they'll be more willing to haggle with you, or they'll probably take whatever you offer them. So if the book,
That's good advice.
yeah.
Good, yeah, good answer. Oh, we got 2 more in the house. We got Scott Neely. We got the Gray Man.
What's up, Scott? What's up, Gray Man?
Hey, Scott, Gray. Okay, so I'm going to give you another question. I want you to mull this over. Share with us in as least amount of words as possible the origin of your comic book collecting. Now think about it. Hold on to your answer. Think about it. We're gonna do some other fun stuff while you're thinking about that. Okay, so the origin of your comic book collecting is in as least words as you can give us. Your origin. So let's go with this question though. Now, because your comic book passion / compulsion / addiction, have you ever found yourself, and we're going to go with Ryan first on this, A, planning a date or family outing around a comic book store location, B, when your significant other suggests planning a vacation, do you quickly Google Comic-Con dates or schedules? C, if I can read my, do you make the stopping at a comic book store part of your family shopping essentials? Or D, constantly tell your significant other, do you constantly text your significant other from the LCS assuring them that you're almost done?
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, Ryan, you're up to bat.
I do.
And if you need to,
on that, maybe not C, but I definitely have planned a date at a restaurant right next door, literally in the same building complex, right next door to a shop. I have, actually, we went on a vacation to the beach, and they were having a Comic-Con at the beach, and I hit it up on that Saturday. And then D, my girlfriend asked me, am I coming home for dinner soon? And I tell her, yeah, 45 minutes before I actually leave the store. So, yeah, I do A, B, and D a lot. I don't even know what C was, but I just know I don't do that.
Making the stop at the comic store essential to the family necessities of shopping. Like when you go grocery shopping, you have to hit the LCS right after or right before. It's part of the routine.
I have a routine every week. I go to the grocery store once a week, and then I go to the comic shop like 3 times a week. So the grocery.
Do you call that stealth dating? When you schedule a date and
3 different shops a week. So like I scope out 3 places. I go there every week, and I know most of the books by like week 2. And I go in there to see if they put anything out new or new things that come on my radar. That's why I just go. Because if you don't go, you miss out on some stuff I've learned. And that's if you have spare time, that's the time to go.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever pulled like $8 out of your pocket for lunch and looked at it and go, food or comic books?
Well, plenty of times. I mean, especially when money was tight sometimes, and I really had the itch to go hunt some books, right around when bills were due. I'd be like, all right, I'll spend $5 at McDonald's and I'll go spend $10 at the comic store. So I budgeted myself that way. But, it does happen time and time again, but not as much anymore.
Okay, so Reed.
Yeah.
A, planning a date or family outing around a comic book store location. B, suggest a vacation. When your wife or your significant other suggests vacation, do you quickly Google Comic-Con dates? Do you make sure that the stop at the local LCS is part of the shopping necessity? Or D, are you constantly texting your significant other saying, I'm almost done, I'm almost done?
Yeah.
Have you? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I'm guilty of A, B, and D. I try not to involve the family in that stuff because for purely selfish reasons, because when I'm at the comic shop or at a convention or something like that, well, actually, that's not true. I do take my family to conventions once in a while, but when I'm at a comic shop or like a Second and Charles or something like that, if I have family with me, I'm going to feel rushed and I'm going to feel like I'm not able to look through stuff the way I really want to. So I try to avoid that kind of stuff. But planning trips and stuff like that, absolutely, as often as I can. So.
All right, Steve, you're up to bat.
I've done all those, man, and I'm guilty of having the kids and the wife along when I stop at a comic book store on the way home from shopping, and I'll be like, just give me 20 minutes. And then they're honking the horn. The kids are coming in one at a time. Dad, let's go.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yep.
Okay, so do you ever pull money out of your pocket? Like, say you have $9.50 and go, that's $9 books right there.
I have, yeah. Just like somebody else said, you're thinking about McDonald's. I could get, a double cheeseburger at McDonald's and save the rest for books. So yeah.
I used to tell my wife, let me tell you a secret. I'm a dollar menu guy, but now I tell her the secret is I'm a dollar bin guy. We got Nomad Mad 1966 in the house. We got Mastodon Comics and Collecting. Welcome, guys.
What's up, fellas?
Hey.
Are you all there in the chat? Are you addicted to cards?
I imagine so.
I asked you a question about, tell us the origin of your collecting in as little words as possible. So, anybody up for that yet? When you want to hold on to that question?
I already know exactly what I'm going to say. So,
all right. So, Ryan, what's the origin of your comic book collecting?
Watching YouTube videos.
Hey, that's a good answer.
Literally.
Ooh, I wish I had the pause button right now.
Watching YouTube videos got me into collecting. It got me out of buying new comic book day books to read into collecting books. So I have to give YouTube the credit there because I am.
Nice.
I do read comics, but I usually read them for free on Read Comics Online, especially new books. Why waste money on a new book when you can just read it for free? Unless you really want the physical copy in your collection.
There you go. Good answer. Okay, and who's up, Steve or Reed?
I can go first, I guess. Ryan, how long have you been collecting?
I've been collecting since 2014, but really collecting the way I do now since 2016, beginning of 2016.
Oh, okay.
Wow, we get to know you guys.
Yeah, mine goes way, way back. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and I guess what led to me collecting comic books was kind of, I guess you could call it the perfect storm, because I lived in a neighborhood that was a really rough and tumble, gritty, lower class neighborhood. Wasn't the safest streets to be walking up and down and playing outside and stuff. And also, I was born with a congenital heart defect, so I couldn't do a whole lot of like physical activity. I couldn't really exert myself that much, so I couldn't play sports a lot like other kids and things. So my mom bought me a comic book when I was 10 years old, and I really liked it. It was Spidey Super Stories number 49. And there was a General Motors plant right down the street at the end of my street. So I decided to take my bicycle down there one day and look through all the garbage cans in the parking lot. And I collected all the pop bottles and beer bottles I could find because you could get 10 cents for them. So I'd fill up a bag and I'd ride my bike with my bottles down to the drugstore and turn the bottles in and get money and buy comic books with them. So that began my love affair with comic books.
That's a really good story.
Okay, Steve. Origin. What's your origin of collecting in as little bit as you can tell us?
Well, mine would have started in the mid-'70s, watching the Super Friends and the Electric Company when Spider-Man used to show up on there. And then we had a cheap mom and pop owned 7-Eleven right down the street where we used to go all the time. And they would have like just a cellophane wrap bag of comics that they'd ripped all the covers off of. Probably get rebates at that time. I don't know how that worked back then, but You know, they'd sell like a whole stack of books for like $2 or $3, and if I had the change, you know, I'd buy them, and that's where it all started. Reading a bunch of like, oh man, hot stuff and things like that. That's mostly what they had in
Nice.
there: the kiddie books, the Archies, the hot stuff, and everything.
That Electric Company show was really cool when Spider-Man came on there.
Oh yeah,
Let me tell you about that. I was thinking about it. It's like when that first came out, I used to think they can do that. Spider-Man can actually be alive on TV.
Yeah.
Come on, give me more. I mean, if this PBS show can do it, come on, networks.
He didn't
You can
talk.
do it.
He didn't talk either, did he, on that show?
He just had like a thought bubble.
Yeah, just big
Yeah.
thought bubbles.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Okay, I'm going to throw another question out to you. Hold the answer. We'll come back to it. Tell us who inspired you on YouTube. What was the first video channel that you watched that really inspired you to change your collecting or to move forward or start collecting, whatever it is? So hold on to that question. We're going to go with this one. We're going to start out with Steve on this one. I want to hear all your answers, though, from all of you. Okay, someone is watching you at the LCS. They're inching ever closer to your territory. What do you do? Do you A, calmly change your hunting area and move to another part of the store? And everybody that's watching, they don't know these questions. I did not let them know what I was going to ask them ahead of time. B, are you okay with the stranger and invite that other hunter to near your territory? Do you say, hey, come on, join me right over here? C, you shoot them a death stare? Get the heck out of here. What are you doing? Or B, do you say in a really loud voice, hey, did you just pass a fart? So, Steve, what do you do when strangers inching closer to your territory as you're hunting?
Most of the people I meet in the stores are pretty nice, so I usually say, hey, what are you looking for? You know, as I'm looking through this, you know, I'll see if I see anything, toss it your way. Or if you're looking at books I haven't looked at yet, I'm looking for this. So I guess that was B.
So yeah, you're the nice guy, huh?
I
You say,
am.
come on over. All right. Reed, Comics 81. What do you do when someone's inching closer to your territory?
Well, I might give them a little side eye, you know, just to see what their intentions might be or whatever. But I stand my ground, man. I'm not giving up an inch. I mean, especially if I was there first and they're going to try to encroach on what I'm doing. No, I'll just stand there and they can get frustrated and go around me, or they can, whatever they're going to do. I try not to pay much attention to them. I just try to stay like laser focused on what I'm doing and not even pay them any mind.
So you look up though when you shoot the lasers over and say, hey, back off, buddy.
Another thing I might do, and I heard somebody else, I wish I could remember who I heard this from first, but another YouTuber said that what they do sometimes is, when you're at a LCS or a Second and Charles or something, if you found a few books and you've got a little stack right there next to you, one technique to do is either put a book on top that you don't plan on buying, like a decoy book, so that they won't know that you're finding good stuff. Or what I like to do is the top book, I'll just turn it over, so all you see is the backing board, so nobody knows what I'm getting or what I'm looking for.
Good take. I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to you, Ryan, we got some comments here. Go To Geek says, shoot a death stare, that works very well, or just get a sledgehammer out. Gray Man says, yell stranger danger, fire off on an air horn, and spray them with noxious fumes from any anal gland.
You know what's funny, Mike? I told my wife this one time because I got tired of people crowding me at conventions. I can't stand to be like having people just crowding up on me and giving me elbows and stuff like that. I told her, I said, next time I go to a convention, I said, I'm going to strap on a diaper. I'm going to make sure to put the biggest load in that diaper I can on the way in there. That'll give me a good 10 feet on both sides because no one's going to want to come near me.
You remember Spencer Gifts? They have that stuff called bullshit spray.
Yeah.
You ever seen that in an air can?
Yeah, that worked too.
Okay, Steve. Yeah, I love Disney and comics. What do you do when a stranger's inching closer to your territory?
Oh, you already asked me, man.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm sorry. Ryan, Strangexblade. What do you do?
Well, I usually stand my ground and I simply just say, man, there's nothing really good over here, a bunch of crap, nothing to see. And most of the time they believe me and they just go on the other side. Then,
Move along.
at a con, I went to a con and I found this really good dollar booth and they had about 12 long boxes and 6 underneath. So I went through the 12 on top, then I started going on the bottom. Well, this guy sees my stack and he starts going on the bottom with me. So what I do is I sprawl my legs out. Can't get too close to the box. And he's like, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, I've been on my knees for like the past 15 minutes. I got to stretch my legs. So he just so that's also to sprawl out on the floor, especially if you're looking at boxes on the floor.
Okay, so you guys in the chat, I hope you're taking notes because we're getting all kinds of techniques here that we can use. We got Novad Man 1966 says he puts a stack of boots on the next box beside him.
There you go.
Also, what I do real quick, if you're standing, stand in the middle between 3 boxes and put your hands out like this, and you got the middle one right here, so you're monopolizing 3 at once instead of 1 at once.
There you go. Just lean on them. Sprawl out.
Okay, so I asked you what channel got you inspired to change your collecting, get started in collecting, or that you first watched on collecting. So let's see who we're gonna start here. Let's go with Ryan. You just answered, but go ahead.
I used to watch a lot of Hero Hunter and a lot of there's old YouTubers that don't really make videos anymore. They haven't made videos in like 4 or 5 years, and I started watching those old playlists, old Mercenaut videos, old Master Splinter videos, very like beginnings, old Doom 143 videos, and I saw that they were hunting books that I was constantly seeing in the wild, and I was like, maybe I can find those books. So I tried it out, and I started finding some good stuff here and there.
Nice. How about you, Steve?
I got to admit, about a year ago, I didn't know guys were out there making YouTube videos on comic books and what they're collecting. So the first time I saw one, I thought it was a fluke. And one of the first videos I saw was Nighttiger pressing a book with an iron and some, what is that, wax paper or something. I was like, what is this dude doing? And then I think what inspired me to do my first video was watching all, once I realized you guys had channels where you're putting this content out here, I think it was either like Bueller's Comics, Go-To Geeks, or Rayman or somebody had a contest. Might have been the Go-To Geeks. I know they're on, or they were on here earlier. I think it was one of my first videos I posted was a video to enter in one of their contests. So. And I was pretty shaky when I did. You never know what to say when you turn that camera on and start shooting that first time.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I remember being nervous too, and and it's all pre-recorded. So like, the heck, you being nervous for? You can edit it out. Okay, before we get to read Comics 81, we got some talk in the chat about Charlton 66, giving him some love. He got Grayman into Atlas Comics, and he got Scott Neely wanting to pick up old Captain Atom comics, even if they're modern reprints. And I have to say, Charlton 66 is a channel I just discovered not too long ago, and he's a great YouTuber. I love his stuff, and got to know him, and love to get. I'm like getting to know all you guys, and so this is what this live stream is going to be about, getting to know everybody. So read Comics 81. Who inspired you on YouTube?
Well, just a segue from the last comment. When I first made my first video, I was so nervous. I had this big giant spiel that I was going to say. I had it all memorized to introduce my channel and all this and that. But as soon as I pressed record on that thing, I just started showing the books. I was like, okay, so I got this. Everything just went right out the window. I was so nervous. But if you guys go back and watch my first video, you'll see that. But I'm pretty sure the first YouTube channel I ever saw for comic books was Lee Kirby Ditko. And those guys just blew my mind. And And I thought, I didn't even know that people did that. I don't even know how I found that. I just went on YouTube and put comic books or something, and they popped up, and I thought, wow, this is a thing. This is the coolest thing, you know. So it took me, I don't know, I watched videos for a few months, and you know, a few different people. Hero Hunter, Ryan, I think Ryan mentioned Hero Hunter. Man, he showed some really cool stuff. I loved his channel. Started seeing other guys like Mercenaut and Master X and Doom and all those guys, and finally built up the courage to start doing it. So
we're glad that you did. I enjoy your channel. I enjoy all your
thanks, man.
channels. And
Enjoy
you know,
your
we got Ranger Sly in the house. Now, I don't know if you guys know him. He doesn't have a channel per se, but he is a well of knowledge about books, and he makes a comment. He's one of the guys that I wait for him to comment on my videos so that I can learn what mistakes I made, because he knows so much. And he's in Canada. Yeah, he's in Canada, and one of his things he loves is Golden Age Westerns, which I have a love for also. We've done a couple exchanges and AOKs back and forth.
Cool.
So if you don't know him, he does have an account. You can sub him, and then he'll watch your videos, and you'll really appreciate that. Okay, so number 9 I got here. What has been your white whale, your brass ring? Have you discovered your holy grail for a phenomenal price, or do you feel like your greatest find is yet to come? So, what do you think about that question?
Wow, that's a good question.
It's so hard to say that, because you want different books all the time as a collector. If you're hungry for comics, you want something then, and then you get the book, and then you want something bigger and better the next time, and then you find something bigger and better.
Ryan, tell us like one of your stories about one of your great finds to you personally. Not about value, but to you as emotionally.
I guess I'll go ahead and share this book. It is Chapter 22 from the Gold.
Oh yeah.
And
I want to stop you for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about everybody else, but I know that story backwards and forwards, because I feel your passion when you first told it, and every time you talk about it, I feel the passion in your voice. So go ahead.
I wanted to start finding books that were connected to my childhood. I grew up in the 90s, so I'm not afraid to collect 90s books. So if you guys don't like 90s books, you probably won't like most of the stuff I pick up. I do pick up a lot of moderns, but this was a book I was looking for a long time, and I never could find the right research on it. And I literally put so much time and effort into finding what this book was, because I was trying to find the first appearance of the Ghostly Trio, and I went to many people to get information and different websites, and then I finally found a website that had the information I was looking for, and then I was able to stealth this book on eBay for a really good price, because CGC and other places don't even acknowledge this is their first appearance, like regular first appearance. So I'm happy with this book. I know like there's some other keys from this run, but this one, Ghostly Trio, was like one of the funniest cartoon characters growing up for me, and I really wanted the book. So this was definitely a grail I've achieved this year. One of my 2019 grails for sure. Probably the biggest book I picked up this year for my collection.
And then that story has inspired me. I want to find that book now.
Yeah, it's about, like, if you find a book that you don't have information on, it can never hurt to do your own information. You don't have to go what everybody else says. You know, you have your own brain, you have your own opinion, you have your own intuition. You can go out there and find information on books if you're really looking. And it doesn't hurt to just click around and find something you're looking for. And that's how I found this book. So I don't know if anybody else has ever had that success story, but I can say I do personal victory right here. So.
Feel the passion, man. I feel it. And that's what it's about right there, is inspiring everybody. That's what I feel it's about. Okay, so Steve, you want to share with us? Have you conquered your white whale? Have you found your brass ring? Discovered your grail? Or do you think that's yet to come? Or do you have a story that you can share with us?
Oh, that's yet to come, man. I have not discovered my white whale. Everything that I buy, I try and buy cheaper than what everybody else wants for it. But yeah, one day I'm gonna walk into a yard sale and they're just gonna have every Silver Age #1 issue out there, and Thor. I'm gonna get them all one day.
So let me ask you this: do you have premonitions?
Not really. I just sometimes
You
I'll get lucky. Yeah,
you feel it though. You feel like I know this is going to happen. You have that feeling.
I do. Yes, I've
Nice.
taken my kids with me to a couple. When I found out, what is that one? There's one store that sells comic books. Supposedly, I've never found one at any. Oh shoot, it's like a Army Navy store or something. I can't remember what it's called. But supposedly one of these stores out there sells comic books at different places. And I've taken my kids with me. We actually walked in one of these stores one time, and it was like one of the depot ones where they bring all the stuff in. And they were just shoveling people's trash right into these bins, and people were going through it. My kids and I looked at each other. I was like, let's get out of here.
Okay, Reed's ready. Reed's ready. Hold on, Reed. We got Surf Blue in the house. Funny channel, guys. Check him out. Sub him up. He shows comics, video games, DVDs. His dad's old collection of Western memorabilia. That is including comic books. His dad used to do the circuit with all the Western stars from the 40s and 50s.
Wow.
That's Surf Blue. Surf Blue. I talk to him all the time. He's a really funny guy. Okay, Reed, you're white. Well, I see you got books you're pulling, so I'm ready to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I'm going to show a few books. Well, I believe in dreaming big, so I'm looking for that Action Comics #1. So, like Steve said, though, seriously, guys, like Steve said, he feels, he's going to go to a flea market one day and he's going to find these grails. I mean, the books are out there, maybe not Action 1, but I mean, books are out there. And I just wanted to show this one. I found this one.
Oh, yeah. You showed that.
At a flea market, Superman 57 for $3. So,
wow.
That's a
I
beast.
mean, they're out there. I mean, when you go to a flea market or a yard sale or anything, you never know what you're going to find. So, I mean, we might as well dream big if we're going to dream, right? But
That's right.
As far as I think Ryan touched on this a second ago. Like, the books that we want are always changing. One thing always leads to another, and the things that I want, the books I'm looking for, always depend on certain things. And I found that here's that Black Rider that I found for $10.
Oh, he's blowing us away, guys.
Well, I'm just using this to make a point. So I found
that's
$10.
inspiring. Yeah.
I got to give credit to Longshanks because Longshanks showed this on his video, and about a month later, I found this at a flea market or an antique mall rather. And if not for Longshanks, I would have not even known about this book. But once I did get this book, I went to mycomicshop.com and I looked up the whole run of Black Rider, and I saw this book.
I remember that one too. Yeah.
So at that time, this was the book number. What was this? Was this 10? Yeah. Number 10? What number is this again?
I don't know. You tell us.
Number 9. So number 9 became the next one that I wanted. So I was like really hyper focused on getting this book. So, it just depends. One book leads to another, and it's always changing for me anyway.
So tell the community who's on the cover of that.
Black Rider. Yeah. Well, this is Black Rider number 8 from 1950. And this model on the cover there, that's Stan Lee.
Yep.
And what happened was back then they were doing a lot of photo covers. That was like the popular thing. And the model that they had hired to do this cover didn't show up. And Stan Lee said, just give me the outfit, I'll do it. So it's really funny. He's got these little toy guns and everything. It's kind of ridiculous, but.
Oh, no, it's awesome. So tell me, what does that book go for right now? What is it going for?
Well, around the time, just before Stan's passing and right around the time he passed, a book in this condition, this is probably a 3.5, I'd say, maybe a 4 on a good day, probably 3.5. This was going for about 900 to 1,000. It has settled down right now. This would probably go for about 600, I think.
Nice. Since you
I'm
you did a segue for me, I just got this one in. Atlas.
Oh yeah,
Atlas, #1, Outlaw Fighters. This is what happens when you pull out the Gerber guide late at night and you start thumbing through it.
that's beautiful.
Looking on eBay. Can I find these books? How much can I find them cheap? I paid $10, $13 with shipping for that. There's only 2 issues in the run. Okay, so we don't have much time. We're gonna wrap this up in 5 minutes because we got some other great live shows that are coming. I want to definitely watch those. I didn't get all of the questions that I wanted to get, but I feel like I got to know you guys a whole lot more. So I hope this is a program that we'll be able to continue, and we'll be able to invite some new channels on next time. And these 3 here will be these are the original sidekicks: Strangexblade, Ryan, Simon Reed, Comics 81, Steve. I love Disney and comics. Let me get one more question in here. Let me see which one I did not ask. I know there was something here. Okay, so we're going to close it out with this last question. And when we close and end the broadcast, you and all of us will be backstage. We can talk a little bit and then we'll leave. But is there one comic book that you talked about that one, but this is from your youth. Is there one comic book that you have the fondest memories from buying when it first came out on the newsstand or whatever, that brings a warm fuzzy feeling to you, or that when you see it, you do a happy dance in your mind or out loud around where you are, or you just take a moment and you have this daydream stare like, oh, I remember buying that off the newsstand. Or D, you're just stone cold son of a gun and you don't get into girly feelings about comic books. Okay, so we'll start out with Steve from I Love Disney and Comics.
I have 2 series that whenever I see them, it takes me back to my childhood. That would be Secret Wars Volume 1 and the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Those were right when I really got into liking comics. Every time I see one, I don't care what the grade is, I usually buy it.
Do you get a warm fuzzy feeling? Do you do a happy dance, or you do get a daydream stare off into the distance?
I get the warm fuzzy feeling and the daydream stare, I think.
So you get the combination, you get the combo, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go to Ryan.
What was the question?
Strangexblade. So when you see a comic that you bought off the newsstand that brings back fond memories, do you get a warm fuzzy feeling? Do you do a happy dance? Do you take a moment of a daydream stare, or do you get a combination of all 3 or 2? Or
Well, as far as reading, I guess with modern books, I started collecting in 2004.
now this is a book you bought when it came out that you have memories of.
I guess it would be some Swamp Thing stuff from the New 52. So I read Swamp Thing books from my dad's collection growing up, and I really love Swamp Thing. Anytime I read a Swamp Thing story, it takes me back to like that was the first character I ever read in comic books. So it's like meeting up with a long-awaited friend. When you're reading a book like that.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get to Read Comics 81, and then we're going to close out the show real quick.
Yeah, well said, Ryan. These old comic books from our childhoods, it is like having old friends, I mean, when I was a kid buying comics off the spinner rack, there were 3 titles that I mostly bought, and they were all Spider-Man titles. I bought Peter Parker, Amazing Spider-Man, and Marvel Team Up, all 3 Spider-Man books. And I would buy stuff like Daredevil and Fantastic Four too, but those were my main 3. And as an example of a book that gives me warm, fuzzy feeling and also staring into the distance, I have 2 here, and that is from Amazing Spider-Man, and these are 229 and 230. The Juggernaut. Nothing can stop the Juggernaut. I mean, what a killer story arc. And I picked these up, and I feel 10 years old all over again.
John Romita Jr. and Will-O-the-Wisp. That was a real good one too.
Tarantula.
I remember that run. It brings it's bringing back memories. Oh, so I want to thank everybody that joined us today. I couldn't list everybody. We got Still Ranger, Sly here, Nomad, Mad, 1966, Grayman, Surf Blue, Scott Neely. Thanks, guys, for joining us. I hope that you got to know these channels here.
Thanks,
This
guys.
I want to thank the channels. We got Strangexblade here. Thank you for joining us, being one of the original Soapbox Sidekicks. Read Comics 81. Thanks for coming and sharing with us everything about your comic book collecting experience.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I Love Disney and Comics for coming here, sharing with us your experiences and your memories. Guys, I love your channels, and I'm going to continue to watch every time they come out. You guys inspire me. You teach me, and I'm just really grateful to be the host here and have you guys. And I hope we can do this again in a month. We're going to try to make this a monthly thing, and maybe if we get enough response, it might be even more than that. So with that, we're going to end the broadcast and just say once again, thanks for everybody who joined us tonight. This is Nighttiger Comics, Read Comics 81, Strangexblade, I Love Disney and Comics. We're signing off. So guys, have a great night. Go check out the Go-To Geeks and Metarog. Their live broadcast has already started, and that's where I'll be at.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
And